Hey folks, remember last week where we talked about regular gouges? This week we're going to get into the carbides. Come on, let me show you guys the difference. Hey, while I'm thinking about it, so did you guys know that you can support me for not spending a cent by hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing my videos? Doesn't cost you a cent, helps the algorithm see me a whole lot more, and it's totally free for you. It just takes 3 clicks. Just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks, bye. Folks, so I just came out here, was getting ready to get everything started, and realized I forgot to plug in the lathe. Now that we're ready to rock and roll, I have been having some issues with this, so if we have any fail to starts or anything, I might have to cut. We're gonna hope I don't have any though, because they're starting to make me a little bit nervous. I actually got to get a hold of Laguna tomorrow. So there's that. I want to do a battery check real quick. Perfect. All right, let me get my phone on a charger, and then we are going to get into like carbide tools, like I said in the beginning of this. So let me grab everything I use. Is right here. That's all the different shapes of carbide I use. I do have 2 variants of the triangle, but I don't hardly ever use the other one anymore because I found more efficient ways of doing it. So there's your, I believe they call that a detailer. It's a CI7 with Easy Wood Tools. The CI7 is the actual size of that. I believe C stands for carbide. I'm not sure what the I or 7 is. But your CI5, which is just a bowl hollower. I don't think I need that. Yeah, we're not overexposing now. So there's your, that's what I use for hollowing out most of the bowls. The one you'll see me use the most on pens, which is generally the negative rake scraper version, which all that refers to is that there's an extra bevel right there. Usually for this, I have the same, this is the same size, just a different head. See how that's really flat on there? And that one's got, you can see the bevel around it. The negative rake is good for, I'm not sure what I just said. But the negative rake is really good for hardwoods and especially resins because it doesn't let you get the real, it lets you get a stringer, but it's not real long and it generally breaks them up unless you hit it just right. But then you also have your square head, which this is just a basic square. I can also get them with a little bit of a radius so you can use them for the outside of a bowl. This is the bigger of the 2 sizes that I run, which is a CI1. Oh, and both of these are CI0s. It's just a CI0 or a CI0 NR for negative rake. And then the smaller carbide square, you'll find I almost always run a square head on there. Because if I'm using these, I'm usually going to use them for something like making a top. But this is by far the most commonly used tool in my shop is the CI0 standard rake or standard insert, no negative rake on it. Mainly because it allows me to cut wood out quick. It keeps it nice and rounded. There's also the CI3, which I actually didn't notice because all the junk on the handle. I cannot wait for about another 6 weeks or so. I'm going to be able to get all these out and clean everything off. And I'm actually going to redo the next to my lathe here. Taking both these shelves down, 3 of the shelves down. I'm getting ready to make some custom stuff for them. It's going to be sweet. But the smaller diameter actually lets you cut in deeper faster. That's why the CI5 bowl hollower is very effective at hollowing out bowls. Just going to bring you guys up with me while we chit chat. Oh, hi. How are you? So Yeah, that's the basics of the different carbide scrapers. And the biggest difference between a carbide scraper, last one I grab as always, and the traditional gouge. The gouge is, like I said last week, you follow your bevel, which into your cut. So like if my hand was a piece of wood and I wanted to cut along my finger, you would actually follow the contours of the finger, and anywhere that this edge here is pointing, that's the direction it's going to cut. So like if you want to go around a curve, you'd lift up and you'd actually twist a little bit in order to go around curves. This is where it gets a little more complicated. And if you're going to take just a regular carbide, I mean, you can go back and forth. You've seen me use these a lot in pens because I can just, I can do, that's a lot faster than I would, but it's a real light movement with them where you just slowly glide back and forth. If you need to put any angles in it, you can do that real easily. You just start it and you just take a little more off with every pass until you get it to where you want it. So that's the basics of the carbide inserts, and I think next week we're actually going to do more of a tutorial on how to use both in concert on a couple of little quick things, just so I can, there's a reason for everything. Like if you're going to be making bowls, I know people that swear by bowl gouges, or if you're doing spindle work, they swear by a spindle gouge. I think that modern times, I think the most efficient is use the carbides to get a basic shape out. Use your spindle gouge or your bowl gouge for whichever's appropriate for the project. Use that for your finishing touch, because you will not get a better edge than if you use one of these. If you use one of these gouges and hit the angle just right, you will not get a better finish quality than one of these blades. Carbide cannot touch the quality. When I first started learning this, I didn't believe it either, unless you know. If you know, you know. But yeah, when I first started, I was like, there ain't no way it can be that much better. Nah, it's actually, the difference is significant enough to where it's literally cut the overall turning time, or the let time I have a pen on the lathe that's a wood-based pen. It's turned it almost in half, or it's cut it to almost half while I'm turning. It's just incredible, and that's also why you've been seeing me braid the skew a lot more, because I have a pen I never touched sandpaper to. It's one I carry regularly. It's one of the Fountain Prestismos. Prestismo. I forget how you pronounce it off the top of my head, but if I have them both at a show, I will let you run your finger down both. You cannot tell. I don't even know which one it is, because I use the same wood. The same wood, the same finish, the same beeswax, everything. I did them one after another. And one I used the skew on, the other one I sanded like I normally did. Can't tell you the difference. I still sand most of them because I'm not that great with the skew. But, sorry, I thought I had a sliver of metal in my hand again. But, yeah, so you really cannot beat the gouges. But if you're just learning, or if you're weird like me and like sanding, carbides are fine. But like I said, I like to do the hybrid trick where you do the majority of your hollowing, but still leave a good 3 to 5 passes for your bowl gouge or your spindle gouge, because it will give you that nice, pristine edge, so you can minimize your sanding time. And you can also sand a heck of a lot faster, which is why you'll see I'll do that on a pen with just about every grit, and that's all the more it takes. So that's all I got for this week. So with that, see y'all next week.